The power of being unreasonable in entrepreneurship. The reasonable man adapts himself to the world. The unreasonable one persists in trying to adapt the world to himself. Therefore, all progress depends upon the unreasonable man. George Bernard Shaw. Welcome to the Mind Your Business Mentor podcast, where we provide the personal development that entrepreneurs need to succeed. As entrepreneurs, we are often told to think outside the box and challenge the status quo. This is because, as George Bernard Shaw once said, progress is made by the unreasonable man. In this episode, we will dive deep into the power of being unreasonable in entrepreneurship and why it's necessary for growth and success. What does it mean to be unreasonable in entrepreneurship? It means to think and act beyond conventional norms and limitations. It means having an unyielding determination to achieve a vision or goal, even when others doubt that it's feasible or even practical. It's about being willing to take calculated risks, challenge the status quo, and think outside the box in pursuit of success. Being unreasonable is not being reckless or ignoring reality, but rather about having a mindset that refuses to accept limitations and is committed to pushing beyond them. It's a trait commonly found in successful entrepreneurs who have disrupted industries and achieved great things. Now, how can being unreasonable lead to progress and growth? It leads to progress and growth in several ways. First, being unreasonable can mean having a vision or goal that seems impossible or unrealistic, but striving toward it anyway. This can push entrepreneurs to think creatively and outside the box. Better yet, like the box doesn't even exist. Finding new solutions and approaches to achieve what it is that they set out to achieve. Secondly, being unreasonable can lead to taking risks and making bold moves, such as investing in a new product or entering a new market. These risks can pay off in big ways, leading to growth and success that may not have been possible without taking that leap of faith. Finally, being unreasonable can mean not settling for mediocrity or accepting the status quo. Entrepreneurs who push for higher standards and refuse to accept the limitations can inspire their team and customers to do the same, leading to a culture of growth and progress. Overall, being unreasonable in entrepreneurship can mean taking on challenges that others may avoid or dismiss, but it can ultimately lead to progress and growth beyond what you have ever thought to be possible. Now, here are some real life examples of successful entrepreneurs who were unreasonable in their approach. The list is pretty long, so I'll only mention two. Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon. Bezos' unreasonable approach involves his focus on long term growth rather than short term profits. He has also taken on many ambitious projects, such as developing a drone delivery system and launching a space exploration company. Now, this next one is near and dear to my heart. Nipsey Hussle. He was an American rapper, entrepreneur, and community activist who was known for his unconventional approach to the music industry and his relentless pursuit of success. One of the ways in which he demonstrated his unreasonable approach was through his unapologetic focus on ownership and independence. He was determined to own his music, his brand, and his community, and he was unwilling to compromise on these principles. For example, Nipsey founded his own record label, All Money In, No Money Out, in order to have complete control over his music and his career. He also opened his own clothing store, the Marathon Clothing, which was a physical manifestation of his brand and his commitment to his community. He saw these ventures as a way to create sustainability and wealth and give back to the people who had supported him throughout his entire career. In order to achieve his goals, Nipsey was willing to take risks and make sacrifices that others might consider unreasonable. He invested heavily in his music and his brand, even when it meant going into debt. He also used his platform to speak out about social, political issues that were important to him, even when it might have been easier to stay quiet. Overall, Nipsey Hussle was an example of an entrepreneur who was unwilling to settle for the status quo. He was unreasonable in his approach, but it was that very quality that allowed him to achieve success on his own terms and make a lasting impact on the world and on me. Now let's talk about the flip side. There's always a flip side. We talked about the benefits of being unreasonable, but being unreasonable can also come with some potential risks and drawbacks. There's a cost for everything. First, being unreasonable can result in burnout, as it often involves pushing oneself beyond reasonable limits, which can lead to exhaustion and health problems. Additionally, being too focused on achieving unreasonable goals can cause individuals to neglect their personal lives and relationships, leading to social isolation and loneliness. This is why I created the MYB lifestyle concept. Now, secondly, being unreasonable can also lead to financial risks, as individuals may take on excessive debt or invest too heavily in a single venture without fully considering the potential risks and outcomes. In some cases, it can lead to bankruptcy and financial ruin. Thirdly, being unreasonable can lead to ethical risks, as individuals may be more likely to cut corners or engage in unethical practices in pursuit of their goals. This can damage their reputation and harm their relationships with customers, suppliers, and other stakeholders. Therefore, it's important to strike a balance between being ambitious and being reasonable, and to carefully consider the potential risks and drawbacks before pursuing an unreasonable goal. How to balance being unreasonable with being practical and realistic. As a lifestyle and personal development brand, MYB Lifestyle encourages individuals to pursue their goals and dreams, but also recognizes the importance of balance and practicality. While being unreasonable can lead to the progress and growth, it's important to also be grounded in reality and consider the potential risks and drawbacks. One way to balance being unreasonable with being practical is to set realistic goals and have a plan to achieve them. This involves assessing your life, the NYB life assessment, your resources, your time, your capabilities, and making informed decisions about what you can realistically achieve in a given time frame. I need to take that page out of my own book. Another way to balance being unreasonable with being practical is to seek input and feedback from trusted sources, such as mentors or peers. This can help provide a reality check and ensure that you're not pursuing unrealistic or risky endeavors. Finally, it's important to remain adaptable and open to change. While being unreasonable can lead to success, it's also important to recognize when something isn't working and be willing to pivot and try a different approach. I say all that to say, while being unreasonable brings growth, innovation, and success, it's important to balance that with what you actually want out of life. Also, understand that being unreasonable doesn't always mean taking risks. It can also mean betting on yourself, trusting your talents, and doing the things that others said couldn't be done. Being unreasonable in entrepreneurship, it's not always easy, but it is necessary for progress and growth. It requires a willingness to challenge the status quo and take risks and persist in the face of obstacles. By embracing your unreasonable side, you can unlock your full potential and achieve great success. Now, I want you to think about a goal or an idea that you've been hesitant to pursue because it seems too unreasonable. Take some time and reflect on why you've been holding back and how you can start to push past your limits. Remember, being unreasonable can lead to great things. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Mind Your Business Mentor podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Tune in tomorrow, where we'll be talking about taking action, working the process, and celebrating the wins along the way. I have an action that you can take right now. Mind your business.